What's going on, you guys? Just wanted to show you all a beard update before I start filming and talking about the series. Yep, hasn't really changed too much, but hey, at least I get the beard growing into the month of May. So, yeah, let me just play this here. So, what's going on, Sharks fans? Just wanted to talk about the series with the Blues. Yeah, the Sharks have gotten through two series and they did it in 12 games. The biggest advantage they have is the Blues have played 14, but both teams will not be rusty because they both went to a Game 7. And the amazing part is they both blew out their opponents in Game 7 and they showed up for it. So, got to give a lot of credit where it's due. The Blues are a team that has always had the championship talent. The problem with them is that they have always run into the Blackhawks, or they've run into a very good team otherwise. Prior to this season, in the Kent Hitchcock era, the only time they beat a playoff team was the Sharks, and that was a bad Sharks team that barely got in the final week of the season, and we all know how that ended up back in I think 2012. Yeah, this Blues team is a lot more talented than that one, and the thing that stands out to me is defense. The Kings right now did not have as good of a defense as they had in other years. And the Predators, while were very pesky, they don't have the defense that the Blues have as well. Historically, with the Sharks, is that they've been an offensive-minded team. They're free-flowing and they try to score their way to titles. And in this case, the Sharks' defense is kind of up and down. But they have a hot goaltender in Martin Jones. But once again, my big issue with this series is that the Blues' defense is nowhere to the level, is a way higher level than what the Kings and Predators have. You have guys like Pietrangelo. You have two-way forwards like David Backes. It goes on and on and on. The Blues have a lot of defensive-minded players, and that will frustrate the Sharks. I've seen it over and over again in different playoff series that defense, not say defense wins championships all the time, but defense has definitely beaten the Sharks. These defensive-minded first teams can do that. Brian Elliott, very good goalie, done a pretty amazing job. But you can only hope that this is a completely different Sharks team than the years past. Peter DeBoer, gotta give him credit. I thought that this team didn't have a shot with Peter DeBoer to do anything. I never thought I'd be saying we're in the conference finals a year after being in mediocrity. Martin Jones, once again, lived up to the hype. I am completely satisfied with him up to this point. But defensively, I'm worried. Whenever Brendan Dillon is touching the puck or near the puck is where I'm scared. There are these defensive plays and brain farts that this teams will make. Joe Ward turned out to be a pretty fine pickup, and he's doing a good job this postseason. Most importantly, in the long run, we're seeing the torch being passed from Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau to Joe Pavelski and Logan Couture. This is something that we've been expecting for a while, at least maybe 2 years ago I've been expecting this. But when they handed the captaincy over and the A patch over to those two guys, you knew that was going to be the case. I wasn't sure if Joe Thornton or Marleau were going to stay for the ride, and then that extension happened and so on. But the Sharks, on paper, are the underdog in this series. Not because of home ice advantage and all that regular season success. It's the defense. The Sharks are going to have to play up and find a way to solve the Blues' defense, whether it's passing, whether it's being efficient, whether maybe Brent Burns' shot could be a big factor. They're going to have to work on that. I'm a little nervous, like anyone else, because when the Sharks were at this stage the last two times, the Blackhawks were a loaded team, much younger loaded team at the time. They were competitive for I think two of those games. Game 1, Antti Niemi almost shut them out. That was a goalie duel. And then in Game 3, there was that overtime, which it all sucks that you lose an overtime game. Canucks game, on the other hand, that was competitive, but the Canucks had a better defense. And then Ben Eager had a meltdown. Well, let alone those penalties in Game 4. But they did not have the personnel to compete with the Canucks that year either. And once again, as I said, this year they don't have the same personnel compared to the Blues defensively. I need to see it. You need to see guys like Jonas Donskoy play up, guys like Chris Tierney play up. We'll see what those bottom line guys do. That will be the factor really that determines it if the Sharks want to get up and rise to the top. I've already said before, I think the window of opportunity for Thornton and Marlowe in a Sharks uniform is thin. I wouldn't be surprised. I already talked about what could happen ahead. We don't know what happens to them after this year. So yeah, the Sharks. I think that this series is capable of going 7, but also my mind about defense is where the Blues could take this series early, and I don't want to see that. But mentally, it's good that two teams who have never won the Stanley Cup are playing in the conference finals, so that'll get some people watching and people to care. That'll be good. So let me know what y'all think about this series. I'm as nervous as anyone else, but the Sharks have shown that they can win on the road, even though the last series wasn't like that. I believe they can win on the road, and they're capable of doing that. It's just, I need to see it on the ice. I need to see them solve the defense and score. See you guys later. Go Sharks.